Questions. Okay, so
Hopefully. In
I'm
gallery.
I'm also recording now. Are you recording too, Andy?
Uh, it says request host to start clerical, and it says the meeting is being recorded and AI companion is on. So I'm presuming that does meeting notes or something like that, possibly.
Yeah, it's got all of that stuff now. But I mean, I'm now recording this conversation on
Oh, right, okay.
gallery view.
Right, yeah, let's see how it goes then.
But I don't want to put all the eggs in this bucket if I haven't actually done it
Well, I
properly.
did. Yeah, we kind of said it might be a bit slapdash on a Monday morning, didn't we? Like,
Oh,
we're
well,
highly organised, but it's all this technical stuff. It's all a bit tricky, isn't it?
this computer is recording this conversation. I've got that confirmed. So if you want to just roll with that,
Well,
Yeah, go for it,
yeah.
I think.
let's just do it.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome, Olivia Croce, to this edition, episode 12 of Head First, the podcast by Pilots of Blue, where we talk about mental health in the creative industries generally. But also we're throwing together, many more things into the mix because we're always cropping up things during the conversations. So I think the first thing we want to talk about is the Q&A that we've put together. And Olivia, you are founder of the Creative Rebellion and the Bold School, which is a new venture. So I'd like to talk about a bit about that. Where do you want to start?
Well, hello, and thank you very much for having me on your brilliant podcast. I mean, we can start with the Creative Rebellion, I suppose, because that's the thing that came first. Um, so who am I? I suppose a bit of a useful background. I'm an artist, visual artist. Have been all my life, really, since teenhood, and as the years progressed, practicing work, showing work, and being in the industries around the UK and a bit of Europe, I started to realize that I was more interested in interaction in different ways rather than just the traditional idea in a studio, create, and then display, like put it out there. That method it just didn't feel right for me anymore. And I was wondering a lot of the time, well, what's going on here? Why aren't I feeling that flow of I want that quiet time to create and then to put it out to you guys? And what I realized, what I enjoyed the most was actually interacting with people and talking with people and generating idea and discovering the sort of the philosophy around how is it that we create what's all of that about, what's the shit behind it, what's the meaning behind it.
Sure. Were you an artist originally?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So and then, as you said, I think you've been talking a lot about sovereignty, being an artist, doing it in your own way,
yeah,
and then all these sort of ventures followed suit, right? So,
yeah. So it just kind of like followed on from that. Actually, what I'm doing now is I've got into I found that coaching was really the place where that can be held, and that can be developed, that communication around what it is, and for people to help to express themselves in different ways alongside their practice to support their practice. So that's what happened, and I started to study NLP, neuro linguistic programming coaching, and got that and found that really exciting for creatives because there's a lot of visual work, imaginative work around that to support the mind. And so that's what I'm doing now. So yes, I'm supporting lots of artists in a very sort of creative rebellion way. And it's not like rebellion as in, we're fighting against something, there's a big march. No, no, no. This is really about your rebellion within yourself of finding your true honesty, your authenticity. And I know that word is like such a bloody buzzword now, but really like what is underneath that and how can we permit ourselves to be there and hold that strong and be unshakable within the industry of the arts and creativity, which can be a bit shark infested, can be gentle, and finding your place within yourself and within that kind of world.
sure.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, there's just so many subjects to cover, isn't there? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, as an artist myself, though I've been doing it from a very young age, I've just had so many gaps in
Mm,
in the, and I can't even at this point in my life, I still can't say that's my career.
mm.
Do you know what I mean? Even though I've made bits and pieces of things work, but it's this actual that conviction, you know, that people need to kind of fully validate that they are an artist, because that's one of the hardest things, isn't it? I don't know if you found that with people who've been with you being coached. Is that one of the, what's the sort of number one thing that people are struggling with, would you say?
Well, 100% it's actual self-validation.
Yeah.
Am I important? Am I loved? Am I going
Mm.
to be loved by myself and then, oh my God, by you guys for what I'm doing? It's the extension of myself. So I put it out of my body into whatever the creative practice is, music, visual, whatever. And then, it's an extremely vulnerable practice. Like, I don't know any other kind of vocation or passion or career or whatever you want to call it that actually is just about delivering your vulnerability and
Yeah,
seeing how you accept yourself in that and feel okay and strong, because you have to be strong to a certain extent when you deliver something. It's like coming into this conversation. We all have to be strong. We all have to have a sense of self-belief, of valuableness to be here in this conversation. Like we all want to hear what each other said. So it's that transforming it into a piece of work. And then, have I got that self-belief is one of the big things. Yeah.
Exactly. That's, yeah, belief is the big thing, isn't it? Because I was thinking that in all the work that you do, and you just think it's never good enough. You know, why don't you think it's good enough?
And
Or
I think, yeah, I mean, a
that
lot of
belief
the
system.
reason that people have this problem is from, the conditioning that we were brought up with is from childhood, and how we were, like, this is not a criticism, but how we were parented, what was our education like, what was our social surroundings like, what was our culture, what was accepted, what was squashed, what was hidden, what was allowed, what was pushed, and all of that kind of stuff starts forming how you're going to become as an adult and how you respond to your own thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
beliefs and thus creativity. So it's a big journey. When I, in the coaching stuff that I do, they are long 9 month containers, because there's an enormous amount of unlearning to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, did you have anything to add there, or?
yeah. No, I suppose it just kind of reminds me of the whole spiritual thing. It's that kind of like, uh, you arrive here on planet Earth, you forget who you are, people tell you who you should be, and it's the whole point is to remember who you actually are
Yeah.
through all the, you know, and it's that kind of, I suppose it's that kind of with anybody, whether you're an artist or not, you're kind of told indirectly and directly through family or the TV or magazines who you should be, and perversely you kind of you get conditioned to being like that because it's like better the devil you know than actually thinking actually no, I'm nothing like that, this is me. And to be able to sort of lay yourself bare naked and sort of say I'm not the same as you, this is who I am. I'm happy with that. If you're not happy with that, then that's fine,
Mm,
but I'm not going to change, and that's incredibly um I mean, I can see, it's the maintaining that as well. You can do that for like when you've had a couple of coffees and you're thinking, yes, I'm me, I'm great. But it's kind of maintaining that because the world just kind of like chips at you, saying,
mm,
no, no, you shouldn't be like that producer about 10 years ago. He said, no, that chorus should come in way before,
mm,
should come in the first 30 seconds. And
mm.
ours was about 2 minutes in, and it was kind of, he's telling us, it's not going to be our song anymore. It's going to be his song,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And I
So
think,
again, it goes back to that sovereignty thing, doesn't it? Giving all your kind of power away to someone else who thinks they should do it that way. So you've got no opinion left to actually, deliver because it's just been hijacked by someone else.
exactly.
So,
And the question is do they know better than your instinct of when that chorus needs to come in, or how that brushstroke needs to be pushed across that canvas. um and they're operating from a different perspective. They're operating from, it needs to be like this because of my stuff. Like if we talk to a
Mm.
gallery owner or something like that, it's like, I need you to produce work like this so that I can sell it, so that I can survive, pay my mortgage, take my kids on holiday. It's like, it's a totally different world. And also, there's a huge thing around safety. As we are growing, as we develop as children into what we think society, what we should be like, we should be slotting in because
Mm.
it's safer. It's safer not to disrupt. It's safer not to question. It's safer for everybody. And that's very external. Yeah. It's safer for your parents. It's safer for your siblings. It's safer for your education. It's safer for you to walk into a job and maintain and sustain and, be part of our system. As soon as you start going, well, actually, I think I've got an idea and it kind of takes us in this direction. That's when we start presenting the unknown into this society, people start sort of getting a bit nervous because we don't know what you're going to say. And this is a wonderful thing about, the big rivalry against AI is that, the wonderful, beautiful thing about creativity, the arts and artists, is that that's where we operate. That's our language. It's
Mm.
got to be that. We can't sit in a studio and go, right, so what does Jimmy want over there? Okay, so he likes black and green. Oh no, hang on a minute. Sandra likes, big formats. Oh, hang on a minute. No, scrap all that. They want us to write a piece of music, and it's like we have to, it's that learning of like, I've got to operate for myself. I've got to operate for myself. And I don't know who I'm going to become on top of that. I don't know what's going to come out of me, out of my creativity this afternoon. Yeah, I'm in the middle of writing a song, or yeah, I'm in the middle of a painting. Yeah, I'm in the middle of that. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I work in unpredictability, passion, spontaneity, and this is the language. It's like
Mm.
that's the field for the studio. Later, you refine it, you criticize it constructively, you invite people in to talk about it, you develop it. You might make it into something more like, oh, I want to make it to feel more like this. But the beginning is you.
Yeah, 100% agree. And that's the thing, isn't it? We still have the voices coming in saying it's not quite there yet, or you're kind of imagining yourself in the future rather than focusing on the present to sort of think, well, I'm in the moment. This is all organic. This is how I'm going to do it without the expectation of someone else
Mm,
creating something for you. But I
yeah.
think, yeah, a lot of creative people obviously struggle. I mean, going to the mental health aspect, because I think it's all tied in, isn't it? Because of your personality trait, maybe, or do you know what I mean? If you're in a certain type of job, and that comes in the way of
Mm,
you being a certain type of creative, because you're putting yourself into different camps, and it kind of feels, am I showing enough of myself to
mm.
be brave? And obviously, I know you teach people about being fearless and just going for the goals, because why wouldn't you? I mean, what's your, if you don't mind sharing, your sort of number one technique for getting out of that hump, of procrastination, or
Yeah,
allowing it
in
to just be seen?
it all depends on, we've got to find out why you're procrastinating or why it's not easy.
Mm.
It kind of comes down. I mean, it's there are some small techniques that everyone has to find what feels right for them. So one of the things that I actually don't do is tell you what to do and give you a method, because my method might be right for me, maybe a couple of others, but it's about finding what your method is. So if it's, say, take procrastination for example, you're circling around something. You'll do absolutely everything else on planet Earth before you do the fucking thing, and it's like, ugh, you know um the best place to start there is that sort of self-expectation, because a lot of the reason why you're not doing it is because you've already visualized what you want it to be, how it's meant to be, become the expectation of it. Okay, so let's choose writing a song or starting a something that you're writing. Um, so we need to understand what is it that we're trying to avoid. So more often than not, it's, oh, people aren't going to like it, or I'm not going to like it, or it's going to sound really bad, or, I don't have the technique around it. So once you've found out that's often like one thing that's preventing you from doing it. So we forget about the idea of procrastination anymore. We're just looking at, okay, I don't want to do it because I'm petrified someone's going to absolutely laugh at me. If I do a piece of social media or something like that, and I'm doing a video, and everyone's just going to go, "Oh my God, what a plonker! She's a complete waste of time. She's not serious." So it's finding what that nut is, finding out what that real reason is, and then that's the healing process of what that, where did that come from? What is that voice? Was that your voice as a 9-year-old, or a 25-year-old, or a grown man or a woman? Or was it someone else's voice? And we've traced back to that. And more often than not, it can be very easily done. And we bring it back into your present because it's often a different perspective. It's your previous life or your projected life. So it's
Yeah.
about finding out, here I am right here, Monday, it's 20 past 11. I'm sat with you two, we're talking about stuff that we deem really important, and that's it.
Hmm.
Whatever happens to this, out of our control. Even if we try to control it, whatever I do next, whatever you guys do next for the rest of the day, it's about accepting that presence. And I suppose that is quite holistic in a way, isn't it? Because as you were saying, Andy, it's that sort of understanding. So yeah, so there's no sort of quick fix to to any of this.
I suppose it all does come back to self-belief, isn't it? And just kind of, you reminded me of when you were talking then, it just reminded me of all the kind of like this generation of pop stars at the moment. They're just not free, are they? They have to, you have to have a hit after hit. You're only as good as your last hit. You have to, uh, I read a thing about a singer, I can't remember who it was, pretty big singer. And she said the one thing that worries her is that she has to think of what to do for a 30-second TikTok clip each day. She has to do a 30-second, and that really worries her. And I'm not surprised because she's probably not. She's probably just a singer. She's not a actor. She's not a performer, but she's been told to perform and act by the record company or the manager or whoever, and she has to go along with it because she projects. There might be a real consequences she's aware of, or projected consequence that if I don't,
Mm,
they're not going to invest in me anymore, or my fans are going to go to my rival.
mm,
It's all this immense pressure that kind of comes on. I mean, I have it with when we do open mics. I have enormous imposter syndrome.
mm,
You know, I have it's a trait I don't like about myself. I have a look at all the other performers and I suss out rather arrogantly by looking at them whether I think they're good or not. And if they look like they're going to be good, I just get really kind of like low self-esteem about it.
mm,
It's that kind of and that's why I think the last one we did in Reading, they were going to put us on a bit later. And we sort of say, "Oh, can we go on earlier?" And then for me, that's kind of a safe place because if I go on earlier, I don't have to follow the person who is before me, who in my head I would imagine would be a lot better than me. You
mm,
know, it's that whole kind of like self-sabotage because
Yeah.
I love playing music, but it's the whole self-sabotage stuff.
mm.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
you're placing yourself in your safety net so that you don't have to do any of the comparing, because if you go first, you're done.
Mm.
They can compare themselves to you. But a really wonderful thing is that if you're feeling like imposter syndrome, first of all, not a syndrome. And secondly, it is actually a really positive thing once you've reframed it. Because imposter syndrome, as we know it, is like, oh, I'm absolutely naff at what I do. They're amazing. Look at them. I can just tell by his beard. I mean, he's just rocking. Everyone's gonna fall over and buy all his albums. I'm just gonna go straight to the back and, fall off into the wings. That's what we think, well, that's what imposter syndrome has taught us to be and to do and how to sort of operate in it. And it's crucifying, and it does make creatives abandon themselves severely, drastically, and it's an absolute tragedy of the arts today. But imposter syndrome, actually, when we start to really reframe it, it's like, okay, I'm seeing that it's always projected generally. They're going to be really great. That's going to be a really great thing. I might blow everyone's brains and it's going to be brilliant. Oh God. And then you start to question yourself. Now, before we go into that self-questioning from looking at the others, that's when we have to drop back into, I belong here. Why do I belong here? I've had an invitation. They've said I've got a seat at this table. They're expecting something from me because they've heard me before and they already love me, like I already love myself, because I'm also here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't respect what my talent is, what I've worked hard at, what I love doing, what brings me immense joy. Okay. And when we feel that tension of what we call imposter syndrome, that's actually because you have leveled up into the next level of your creativity sort of bandwidth. And I sort of use this gesture as like moving up, moving into a different state, moving up with the people who sort of make you go, oh my God, am I going to meet them? That's because the inside of you has already decided that yes, that is where you belong. Someone's already recognized it because you're already in the room. You didn't just turn up, you didn't just bust your way in. I mean, even if it is an open mic, it's like, yep, I belong here too. Your hand is going up, I'm opting in. Your brain already knows it. But your fear and excitement will always be together. It's going to be like, oh, I'm up for this. And then, oh my God, no, no way that you could do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I it's important to recognize that imposter is actually you've gone up another tier. And because if, so for example, you take the opposite, if you were to perform some music around, some really early learners of the guitar, for example, they're just starting out, they're just fiddling around, they're just trying to get their hands together. Not much sound is really coming out. There's not much melody and all the sort of technical side of it. You'd probably be like, well, this is pretty easy for me. So can you see
Mm.
the two extreme stands? And that's why,
Yeah.
as we feel that imposter, that's actually your growth
It's a nice way of looking at it,
and where
Olivia.
you belong. And if we
Mm.
didn't have
Yeah.
that feeling, that tension, that sort of vibration moment, that peak, sort of as a crescendo, so it's like a pinprick, um, you wouldn't be growing.
Yeah, it's a bit like the adrenaline thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I mean, I've always been a really shit public speaker. I mean, I tremble. I can just stand in front of a bunch of people, have no idea what to say, fall over my words, and feel this rising up of something in my chest. And it's just like, oh man, that's burning. But when I sing, it's completely different. So it's weird. So it's like I'll feel the fear and do it anyway, because I know I'm also similar to Andy. I've got those feelings of inadequacy sometimes and whatever, even though I'm enjoying it. But you feel that and you just have to do it, right? I mean, obviously we've winged a lot of our gigs, I guess.
I think,
Um,
yeah, I mean,
but, a lot, and I suppose in the artist world, it's a similar thing, isn't it? And now we've got all the pressures of social media, all the kind of benchmarks, all the comparisons, all the kind of, is this good enough? Because we're not, super famous yet and whatever, that stuff. It can really play on your mind, right, as an artist. So
absolutely. And what you were saying
your
there,
number one tip to sort of, again, come out of that funk, of constant repetition of a thought that just keeps on pecking at you.
yeah, I mean, the thought is it's the only th when you have that kind of repetition of this thing that keeps coming back at you, and it might always be around the same thing, like maybe sort of public speaking or performing or anything really, there's going to be a story behind it, and it's really important to listen to that story. I'm really a big advocate of listening in rather than just shove it out of the way and go. Like, just ignore it. You can't ignore it. It will keep coming back to you. It's trying to tell you something. You are trying to tell you something. If you keep ignoring it, it's just going to grow and grow and grow and fester. And maybe you'll end up in, the worst case scenario is burnout or abandonment,
Mm.
self-abandonment, which is suicide. It's elected suicide. It's absolutely tragic. It's the saddest thing on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
So we've got to listen to ourselves. We've got to hear that voice. We've got to make time for that. We've got to carve out that time to go, God, what is that fear about? Where is that? Where does that live in my world? Because more often than not, it doesn't even live in what you're trying to do. It doesn't live in
Mm.
public speaking, for example. It lives in when you were climbing a tree at 3 years old and something happened. So
Mm.
a lot of things are get displaced as we move into our creativity because we're awakening all our stuff, right? We're awakening our vulnerability and our joy, and it's coming out in notes of music and brushstrokes and sculptural work. um and and everything is really important. Everything has a place, and this is again, you know avoid trying to come back into that present, into yourself. And when I used to hear that, you'd be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? I don't get it, what you're on about." And actually, it's simple way is just to stop what you're doing, make some time and listen. I'm not asking you to meditate. You don't have to sit there in silence and try and, like, get in touch with a god of any sort. No, just self-respect. And that creates time. Needs time.
Mm.
And practicing that self-listening skill will deepen
Yeah,
self-love.
exactly. And going back to what you said earlier, it is about self-love, isn't it? It's really loving yourself, not to berate yourself because that's what you've been used to. This dialogue where you've just thought, yeah, you're not enough or whatever. So really it is, yeah, it's a self-love process. And that can be quite hard for people who just hate themselves, right? On some level. And they just can't see past that point of, yeah, I need to get better, or keep pushing for more,
There's
for more. I mean, I've had a ton of those kinds of conversations with very ambitious people who still don't think they're good enough, or um so yeah, it's an interesting world, isn't it? And I think things are changing now because we've got conversations like this going on, and I just hope mental health is taken much more seriously,
Yeah,
in
I mean, I think there's
how
been
many
too
people are
much.
doing stuff in silence,
Yeah, yeah. The self-love, I think, I don't know, maybe I work with a lot of women and I'm a woman myself, so you know that kind of self-love can has society has conditioned us into feeling like that's being selfish. And
Mm.
that's a really damaging aspect to the growth of who you are and your creativity. It's not selfish. It's not negative. It's not hindering anybody else. It's not unkindness. It's actually choosing yourself first, which is essential for your health, your well-being, your mental health, your physical health, and for the people around you, the health of the people around you. It's swapping it from serving. We're not serving. We're not here to serve. As you serve, you slowly abandon yourself. We're here to contribute in a way that's a sort of a resonance. We're here to drop something in to this earth as an offering, not telling you to have it, not forcing it upon anyone. It's just placing something in a space, in a moment in time, and saying, here it is. Do what you will with it. I'm not serving this up to you or for you. I'm just putting it here because I believe that what I do brings me joy, brings me happiness, helps me survive. helps me live my life. It's my reason. And there's no point in abandoning that, because if I do, then it goes down a darker road. So it's that swap, isn't it? And I just think that's another good thing to kind of have in mind when we're at that point of offering, when you're
Mm.
performing, when you put something in a show, when it's that moment where people are about to respond. So it's the resonance, and some people are going to resonate to it, and some people are going to bloody well hate it. They'll be like, "Ah, it's horrible," or "That looks yuck," or "That's doing nothing for me," or "It's just dead." Totally fine. Totally fine. We're not here to serve everyone, and we're certainly not here to please everyone, anyone, someone, because we love connection. We're humans. We need connection. We're doing this. We're
Yeah.
connecting because we want to. It feels good. We're elaborate. We're getting deep. We're sort of like fleshing things out. We feel empowered. It's like, yes, we have a meaning of life. Gives us meaning. It gives us joy, gives us motivation, or whatever it gives us. So we need connection. We create things to create a resonance, yes, but not everyone, and not serving, and no expectation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's where that just gave me that light bulb moment. When you do compare yourself to something else that is different to what you're doing, and yet, that voice, like we talked about earlier, that creeps in, because you're still, even though you're doing things the way you want to, you still think about, well, what's it doing for everyone else? Because, do you know what I mean? So that's that mix up of what are we doing here, and why am I serving, that whatever art medium you're doing for someone else to make money out of it or whatever. That's the confusion part, isn't it? Is this where do you draw the line? Do you know what I mean? Where you're coming from your own perspective because you're doing it for yourself, you're enjoying yourself, versus that thing's going to make me money, so I need to do it in this way. So yeah, how do you kind of differentiate?
It's
Well,
it's
for me, I mean, I'm only talking personally. I just feel I kind of, like I said before, I just do what I want anyway. I'm really way past at this age. I feel way past that point of caring what someone else thinks.
Yeah.
But obviously, when it's a brief or whatever from a client, then that's different. But in the mental health aspect, that's what I'm referring to, really. Yeah. How would you then differentiate
Well,
that
it's
thing for someone else as opposed to
yeah,
I'm going to do it my way, and they're going to have to like it?
this is it. I mean, I mean, what you're touching on there, from what I'm hearing, is, when there's money,
Mm.
it's an external valuation. Okay, so we've been talking about self-valuation and self, but money is just an extension of self-valuation. So if it is a client's come to you and said, "I want you to create this by X date, and here's your budget," or "I'm going to give you, a grand," or whatever, immediately you jump into, like, systems go, "I must create four." We step straight into serving the other because there's a monetary value to it, which, kind of like derails a creative. I'm making for you because you are giving me something. Yes, it's an exchange, because creativity does have a value anyway, and it should have a value. I believe that creativity, we should contribute financially to creativity. You pay a ticket to go see a show, you buy a piece of art. Yeah, this is a person doing a job. Same as a nurse, same as anything. They're doing something. Um, but we jump into that sense of, "I've got to do it for you. You're all coming to my gig. You're all paying £5 to get in. I've got to deliver something that you're going to want. Oh my God, right. What are you thinking? What are those 100 people standing there thinking? What do they all need?" I mean, like, talk about the road to burnout. That is a very fast road to completely destroying your mental, physical health, because you're thinking what they might be thinking and trying to do that. Impossible.
Never works.
Never works. generally always falls flat because why? The most important thing, you've pulled yourself out of yourself, you've shoved yourself into an audience you don't know or anything like that, and you completely abandon your creativity because you're so concerned about being rejected. This is why I keep going on. That self-love. You've got to stand on that stage with that self-love. And it's only through you creating your thing that you embed and strengthen your self-love. You can't read it in a book. You can't be told to do it. It's only through the practice, getting your fingers dirty, making the errors, being experimental, falling down again, rejecting yourself, perfecting, resting, recovering, all of that stuff allows you to actually build your self-love for you to have the confidence to go and say, I'm ready to share it now.
Yeah, so true. That's beautiful, actually. It's like a butterfly transforming into spreading its wings, really, isn't it? It's the only analogy I can think of.
But do you guys agree? Do you think it is through your practice that you can feel yourself strengthen and deepen and have a clearer idea of what it is that why you're here, what's meaningful for you?
Yeah,
I think we've when Rabina and I first kind of got together way back in 2007. I think it was for me I was very kind of intimidated, but again, my stuff. Rabina told me she used to sing for Head Candy, and it's that kind of like, oh my God. I gave her a song, she's going to hate it, blah, 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 blah. She didn't. But then it was that, with us, our musical kind of journey really is it that we never ever said we need to write stuff like this. Need to write a jazz song. It's all got to be jazzy. It happened to be jazzy when we began, didn't it? It was all these kind of like jazzy, chill out stuff. And then when we started getting more recording equipment, then we just started putting ideas down. And what I like is that we didn't ever kind of, we had disagreements about, don't like that sound or something, but we never sort of said, oh, we shouldn't be writing that kind of music, and that's why when that producer said to us, you need to write like that, we were very kind of had enough resolve sort of saying, well, no, it's that analogy, isn't that, a guy looking over the garden, over in your garden while you're doing it. You need to do like that, and it's his garden. It won't be your garden, it'll be his garden, kind of thing. And I've kind of had to, because I know a few people in music who do different stuff, and I've had to realize that I know I don't know anyone. I knew someone who wrote music for kind of like films and stuff like that, and obviously he was commissioned basically, and he was creating it, but it was kind of like you've got to do it like this, and this is the sound we want. This is the scene, so you got to build it up, And I've had to realize that just because there's many different types of sort of creatives. He's very happy doing that. Well, I wouldn't be because I would just go off on a tangent, I've had to learn that it's kind of even in with 10 musicians, it's like if you get 10 Fender Stratocasters, they're all going to play differently. They're just all going to play differently, and they're going to suit different people. So with a community of musicians, I've kind of come to appreciate that we're not all, even being called musicians, we're all different as well, and to stop comparing, and just that kind of, and like you said a minute ago, Olivia, that kind of like, not why is this happening to me? What is this teaching me? The kind of thing, like going through the fear of gigs. Some gigs I've had enough things in my life where I've bottled it and not turned up for stuff. I've had enough of that where I felt the feeling of relief and then disappointment. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that. And it's like, I feel like I've let myself down, that kind of thing. So I always try and push myself through it and just think, well, if it's a bad gig or that, at least we did it, you know. So I try and, you know, I was kind of uh, my kind of default setting was to kind of like run for the hills with any kind of like fear and danger. And now I try and not do that. I try and go the other way. You know, someone said you can either use fear as an engine or a brake. I
Mm,
always use it as a brake, and I try and use it as an engine. Um, and it's difficult. It is difficult. It's that kind of, especially if you know, if like you know, as being a creative, if you know, if you're feeling a bit ill, if you had a bad night's sleep, if you know you just had a bill in, that really affects your output and
mhm,
or your mental kind of like stuff to do it.
mm,
But I still, so that you know, that's someone said to me, someone said to me a while ago. I got a mate going a bit off tangent now, and he's a really good guy. He's one of my best mates. He's completely different to me. He's corporate. He earns about 4 times the amount of money I do. All the cars, the gadgets, and that. And we just kind of baffle each other because as much as he's baffled, well, I'm not ambitious. He's he's kind of he baffles me that he is so ambitious. You know, um, yeah. Um, but he's having that resolve because he has kind of like sort of, you know, he does say, oh, you only earning blah 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 blah, and I've had, you know, it's having that resolve when people say stuff to you like that. You know, I know what I was going to say because he said to me once about, uh, "You're going to go for this job," and I said, "Oh no no no," and he kind of looked at me in that kind of way where people do when they don't understand. And I said to him, I must have been having a particularly honest day. I said, "Look, sometimes it takes me all my strength just to get out of bed and go to work. My mental health sometimes is just on me that I just being able to operate on a daily basis is kind of sometimes that's really difficult for me.
mm,
So I have to look out, like you said, you have to look after yourself. And I know it'd be great to have more money and that, but it's a job I don't particularly. It's a job I, you know, I'm not into the corporate stuff. So why would I
mm,
go? Why would I? Just because people expect me to, like we said earlier, you know. But it's that whole kind of like, you know, I was completely honest. I don't know why I was completely honest with him. I said, look, sometimes I just can't get out of bed,
mm,
or I can do it, but I'm in a really sort of rough place and I have to turn up to work and just being able to communicate with people, even if it's by email, is sometimes be really difficult, let alone
mm,
being in a room with a load of kind of senior managers
mm.
and having to like, you know, with all the jargon and the bullshit, you know. So,
It's
um,
not your scene, is it? You were born to be a musician. I've always said that. And that's the thing, isn't it, Olivia? You know, life's so short. And you just think, how many times have we actually squashed ourselves into these positions where we're just kind of running the treadmill, you know, the hamster wheel, as it were,
Mm,
and then forego all your talents and gifts and abilities because someone else has basically railroaded over your dream? Or, you know, it's what would you then say to someone who's reaching for that goal? Yet obviously they've got full-time jobs, or I mean, obviously you've experienced a lot of artists that you work with who are full-time um, artists and creatives. So, what have you seen a sort of major transition sometimes where they've done the whole 9 to 5 and then they've gone from that to doing what they love to do? You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it absolutely can happen, and it does happen, and I've seen it. It's not something that happens overnight. It requires a good structure to it because you've got big things like money. You know, your mortgage or your rent or your whatever's not going to go away. You still got to survive, and you still want an adequate type of life that supports your well-being. So that needs to be taken care of. And that often looks like a phase. It's a sort of transitional thing. It's not leave that job and then, you know, because you're going to be up against maybe some financial difficulty, which is not going to support all the things that you need for your creative inspiration. But it can happen and it does happen. And I encourage it because otherwise, you know, like your story, Andy, about how it feels to be I sort of see it as like these different turfs, these different environments, yeah, these different jobs, these different roles that we are. We can be these things. We're adaptable. Like, it's a wonderful thing about being creative. You can, you can slot into stuff, can feel extremely uncomfortable, and it can generate a lot of well, discomfort that can end up having a knock-on effect to how you can actually operate. You might not be able to do it so well because it's so uncomfortable. Um, but this is very normal because you're a creative. You don't work, your brain and body doesn't work in that way. It needs to be in a space where probably a few less rules around it, probably a few less expectations, because we've just discussed like what happens when we bring the expectation into the room of the creative studio. It's, it strangles you. So you walk into a job where everyone's like, right, come on, bang out the email, give me this, give me that, do this, do that. You got, everyone's doing, everyone is achieving a result, which is the opposite of creative practice. We don't achieve a result. We achieve, like, consciously or subconsciously, we're achieving happiness, meaningfulness, um, leveling out your sort of, your nervous system, creating things, inspiration, lit up stuff, stuff like that. It's a totally different world. So no wonder we struggle when we go into these other jobs. So, I mean, I've always tried to encourage that if you can potentially try and find, if you do need a second job, which we all do generally, like 99% of the creatives out there, um, try and find something that has the same kind of territory. It might not look creative at all. It might still look corporate or whatever, but if there's a small element that you can tweak it into it, then you'll find some kind of sort of sanctuary to be able to survive it.
Yeah, totally agree. I
But
mean, I've always been a person who's been very imaginative in whatever roles I've had, and again, just probably slightly vilified for having that because it's kind of I do tend to drift, and but then that's something, and again, we've talked about this neurodivergence in being a creative and then fitting into a mold which you just can't even do because you're not built that way, or it's very, very difficult. So you just won't even be able to fit into that role anyway. So why would you force yourself? But if you can find a little spot, a sweet spot where you can just think, actually, I can deal with this because I'm in my own little world, thinking of, I don't know, sunsets or whatever.
yeah, absolutely. And the other thing which I absolutely am there to change as well is that, creatives will go from job to job because they need to. Why?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they're looking for inspiration in everything and everywhere that they do. Creativity and being a creative isn't just your main practice, whether you're a musician or a painter or whatever. It's everything in your life. It's everything that you move through as your existence. So if a creative sticks to one job, probably they're going to be feeling a bit like dry, a bit maybe feeling a bit uninspired. We need that diversity, that life. We need life. We need to explore life in everywhere we go. It's like going to the same shop every single day, go to the same Tesco's down the same street. You start to feel really quickly, as opposed to a non-active creative, like I'm feeling suffocated. It's all far too repetitive. I need to swap shit out. You feel that because it's the same thing. That's how it is in a job. So that's why so many creatives have loads of different jobs, because we're pivoting, because we're constantly searching, we're looking. It's part of your practice. You need to do it. I'm not saying like quit your job every 5 months, like if you're liking it, stick with it, do it, great. But
yeah.
the shame around that,
Mm.
you're saying your vilification about it, it's just like that's old society saying
Sure, yeah,
stay where
exactly.
you are, do what you're meant to do, don't change, don't disrupt, don't freak us out, become predictable so that we can become that factory setting of society. Sorry,
Mm.
there's not no, can't. Like I just can't.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
gonna have to accept that about me. And if you struggle to accept and if you judge me, you're slowly killing my creativity. So I'd really rather you didn't. And it's about having that honest conversation, like how you said, Andy, when you were talking to your friend, you felt a little bit honest that day, is good. Like if we all just go for it, just go for that little extra bit of honesty with the people around us to go, I'm probably going to shift jobs quite frequently because I need to see other things to keep myself alive as a creative. And that feeds that. So yeah,
Yeah, and this is where sort of just doing temporary work through an agency is also kind of quite useful because you're not then seen as someone who isn't, you know, a hapless kind of creative. You're kind of balancing both worlds. So
mm,
yeah, give yourself some credit for that. You know, because it's not easy, is it, in a world of, as
mm,
you say, just trying to be boxed into one type of character, which you're not, because you know you're actually very diverse and multitasking and whatever else. So it's hard, isn't it, to then give yourself that accolade, isn't it, for yeah,
mm,
well, I'm actually you're not giving me that sort of validation about how much I can do, but actually there's something that you're not seeing in me
mm,
because you've only got your quota or whatever else you know you expect that person to be doing with numbers or you know talk about the corporate world per se, but you know yeah. Um, but and also I suppose it's quite difficult when you haven't got a lot of creatives in your midst because they don't see that it's a worthwhile industry or you know that's
mm,
the thing I guess people creatives have to kind of rally against because do you know what I mean? Because they don't see you becoming successful as they wouldn't see themselves becoming successful doing that thing.
mm. Yeah.
There's that comparison, isn't it? And you just worry that, oh, you're worrying your parents or you're worrying, you know, your immediate friends and whatever. But to
Yeah.
take that leap, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? It's sort of like going, no, well, stuff that life. I'm going to go for this life, even though I might struggle for a while or whatever. You know, yeah.
Like everything that we do, every choice, I don't know any choice that I've ever made in my whole entire life that's been smooth, apart from maybe like I'm going to make a cup of tea. That's now I've sort of exercised that a few times. It's feeling it's a smooth choice. But most other choices are hold and carry story, backstory, future, worry, excitement, fear, unknown, anxiety sometimes, stress, you know? And once we've kind of like wrapped our head around the fact that that's what choice is,
Mm.
it can be dressed in different things, then, you know, then we might feel a bit more confident about doing them because we're like, we know that choice is always going to carry all this stuff around it, which we don't really talk about. We just go, just do it. You're like, well, hang on a minute. That just do it, you're just telling me to like push through, power through, actually carries all of this stuff that we're not talking about. And I'm meant to survive and succeed on my own. And I find that very difficult. So it's about getting honest with again, you know, what everything really entails. It's not just what we see as an end result. You know,
Sure.
I mean, I often find myself being a bit wary around like just go and do it. You know, there's a certain element of truth in like feel the fear and do it anyway. Yes, because when you're just about to get to stand on the stage, just put one foot in front of the other, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm just, you know, it's excitement, often dressed up in fear. Like, whoa, the anticipation. And it's that beautiful crescendo, which if we start to actually enjoy and go, oh, here it comes, I can feel it. It's coming, it's kicking in, and it gets higher and higher and higher and higher. And then when you start again entering your practice, you're doing the thing, you're singing the song, you're actually strumming the guitar, you're actually painting the painting. slowly starts to fade away, and you start to focus on what you're doing, and then you get another wave of stuff, and it's like, oh my god, so I enjoy this, or you might fuck up, but oh, whoops, whoopsies, hit the wrong note. You just keep moving because there's a different kind of motivation behind you, which is the beauty of all this practice.
I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna have to plug the charger in. It's the
Go for it.
batteries.
It's interesting what you said about moving between jobs. I'm completely opposite. I've been in the same job for 25 years,
Mm,
but I've stuck at a level, and I think probably consciously, at a level where I've enough free time to explore all the other stuff, like going to photography and writing and all that kind of stuff, which I wouldn't have the time to do if I was, higher up. So I don't know whether that's taking me that way, but it gave me time to almost to justify staying in the same job for 25 years. I've kind of got into like spirituality and all that kind of stuff, where it's kind of like it takes the importance of that out the way.
mm,
It's that kind of like, well, no, I'm just having an adventure, and a basic level. I'm just living, I'm just experiencing, that's what I'm here to do.
mm,
So that takes away the whole kind of like, well, I've been in the same job for 25 years. I
mm,
don't hate it, so I won't do it, but I'm at a level where I quite like a lot of my jobs, like problem solving,
mhm.
bit creative with things, and helping people. I'm at a level where I help people, and that's probably the biggest thing. That kind of like when people sort of come back to you, like repeat customers because you've helped them, that kind of stuff. But it has given me time to kind of uh, go off and explore other things when I want to. The time and the money, and
I mean, there it is. Those three things are the things that you find that probably resonate a little bit in your creative practice as well, like you're connecting with people through your music. Absolutely. You're helping people, you're helping people with music because it's supporting them. And once you've found those things, then it's okay to be in that job, and it's good. And you don't need to move because you've got your thing. You've got the thing that actually moves through you, as important to you, has meaning for you in everything else that you are in your life. And it's a job, and you get paid for it, and that's great. So there's no need to move around.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, the moving around was really just like if you don't feel anything,
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
and also, but there is a beauty in actually finding, once you've found that job that does kind of go, oh, it's through all this other stuff that I'm feeling the thing, as you've said. um it does then create more space for other things in your life, like moving into spirituality, or moving forward with your creative practice, or whatever it is, and that's essentially what we're all trying to find, is creating space, isn't it, so that we can do the stuff that we want to do.
Find meaning in what you do. Yeah. And where are you at now then, Olivia? Are you just continuing with the creative rebellion as well, or are you focusing more on your other venture and sort of?
Yeah, so yeah, so I'm just like layering some stuff on, just waiting to see what happens with myself. So I've Rebellion is going on. Life. This is life. This is what happens. This is reality. It's all good.
Spontaneity at its best.
Absolutely. I was just saying this
Oh,
is
yeah.
totally normal.
Okay. So where were we? Sorry.
So yeah, so the Creative Rebellion is growing, which is lovely. So I'm just entering a second cohort of group coaching, which is starting in September. I'm offering obviously one-to-one as well, but I think there's a seems to be a lot more power in group coaching, for sort of some of the obvious reasons of accountability and community support and stuff like that. I mean, there's small groups of 5 and 6, but it's the work is deep, so it's good. So
Mm-hmm.
just starting a second group in September, which is lovely, and then yeah, so there's Bold School, which is birthing. And Bold School really is, well, it's a membership. It's a lower ticket. It's for all and everyone who resonates with it. I'm literally doing as I'm saying, I'm just dropping it out there. Whoever picks it up, and whoever doesn't. It's got a particular vibe to it, and it's really kind of, a more approachable type of thing, like a membership, where we support you through those gates of, discomfort and action, commitment and devotion. What else? I've got a few gates going on there, but they're kind of like the curriculum, if you like, being Bold School. And and it's driven by a lot of humor and joy as well. It's like, we've got to keep it light as well. I think there's an importance in that. That's not being superficial or avoidance. It's actually, what would happen if I chose joy? What would happen if I kept choosing joy in the next 4 hours of this studio time? What would happen to me? What would happen to my practice? What would happen afterwards? Would my breathing change? Would I be a different person that evening? Would I sleep better? Would I be less grumpy? Would I want to shout at my partner when they haven't done the washing up? What would I be? What would life really look like? So Bold School is really about what if.
Like
And
letting your own ambitions go, and it all ties in, doesn't it, to sort of
yeah,
self-belief and
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Building a larger community around that, for that sort of support. So
It's really cool. And how do you see your relationship with social media then? And sort of, have you noticed that change when you've introduced yourself on Instagram, say, or is that your biggest platform that you use?
Yeah, I mean, I find Instagram being the biggest platform because that's where a lot of creatives hang out to
Mm.
share their work. I don't know. Also, I just find LinkedIn a bit dry, so I'm just like, I can't be bothered with it. It's that sort of thing. I'll happily write emails when I'm feeling something, but I'm not a sort of a regular once a week. It's driven by, oh, I've got a thing to say. All right, I'll just drop it in your inbox, and you can either delete it or read it. But Instagram, yeah. So social media, I think it can be, I've sort of experienced dark times of social media and some very jolly times with social media. And I suppose the dark times really are when I'm not being myself. So
Mm.
when I'm not just being natural, normal, just saying the thing, that the reason why I've come up on here and turned the camera on, that thing. When I'm not doing that, it becomes terrifying. It can become really, really worrying, and suddenly blocks my flow for who I am as an artist and a coach. So it's a kind of, I've got to keep exercising the sort of the freedom about it. And again, just choosing the joy, because when we start projecting joy, like even when you start smiling, really hard for another person not to feel that. And it's one of my biggest values, happiness,
Yeah.
because I feel that that's one of the reasons why I'm here, to
Yeah.
generate, appreciate, receive, give happiness. And that comes in so many forms. And it's just that I think that kind of relationship with social media is my bottom line. Like if I'm not having a jolly time on it, then
You're out of there. Yeah, and I've, even since I've been on it for a few years now, actually, I think it's a bit different with a band page, but I think what I've noticed in my own sort of mental health aspects is obviously too much scrolling, but also kind of doing it in a way that's useful for me, not to get down any rabbit holes or just constantly sort of then looking at analytics, say I might have done originally, but I have no clue now. I don't know who's liking my stuff, or I've paid not much attention to it, and then I think, well, should I be doing that because then I could improve this area? Or so yeah. I mean, yeah. What would you say to sort of people who are kind of flailing about a bit and don't really know what they're doing, but everything is just from an instinct rather than you know looking at a piece of work and then thinking that's gonna, because again that feels contrived, doesn't it? Because it's just not coming from a place of spontaneity and joy, or
Yeah, I think the worst advice is basically like just pick up the camera and just put yourself on camera now. Just do it, do it, do it. That's the worst thing you could say to anyone, because so many people, and including myself, have times where it's like, I don't want to be on the camera right now for whatever reason that is, however far into any kind of concern that you have. That's horrendous. The only thing that I would say is to, first of all, find out what it is that you want to say. Why are you actually interacting with social media first? Make sure you've chosen the right platform for who you are. It might be LinkedIn, it might all be written word, it might be TikTok, very hype small snippets of something, a piece of music or whatever it is, it might be, but it's got to you've got to find yourself in whichever platform that might be. And there's loads of different social medias now, aren't there? Um,
yeah,
so, and not feel any shame or berate yourself around that. That's just, you got to keep moving with your flow, because the hardest part is like, you've got this thing and then, oh God, I've got to whack it on social media, and then there lies the clunk, there lies the detachment, and there lies like the death of your beautiful concept, because it's like, oh, I've got to go and tell everyone about this now, boring, or worry. So
yeah,
find the one that actually suits your personality, like your character, the most. And whatever that way is, it's just you got to kind of accept that that is your way. And it might be just because it's a carousel, it might be video all the time, it might just be sound with a bunch of images on top of it. Whatever it is, it's about just accepting that that's how you are right now. It's not always going to be that way, maybe because you're going to develop and change, probably.
yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a skill to all this, isn't there? As Andy was saying earlier about the TikTok stuff, we've never really, as a band, even we've opened up an account but not done anything with it, that kind of thing. It's that sort of, it just sits there for years, or it almost takes such a lot of effort sometimes to even think
Well,
about
then,
that
yeah, I mean,
thing,
that's
and it
it.
shouldn't be like that. Because some people
That's
have it naturally, and that some people don't, and that's cool.
Well, I think we've all got it in us. It's just we haven't found or accepted the one that actually suits you. Like you say, you've just had a TikTok account for ages, nothing's done with it. Don't do it then. It's not
Yeah,
for you. You don't worry about that you haven't done it. Do the thing that feels good, and that's it. Otherwise, I mean, the only reason why I say that, it's not just because, oh, that's, your method. It's because we will feel you. If you don't feel good in the way that you're doing it, we won't feel you. It'll be a complete waste of your emotional time. And that's tragic, because that's not constructive. So whatever you feel good in, like you've done a show, it's been recorded. Okay, we're going to use a slice of that. That's it. That feels good for me. Or I want to get on camera. I need to like do some really big head talking or whatever it is. Um, Great. Because we'll feel you, and there's the purpose behind it and a meaning behind it, and you'll feel joy afterwards.
yeah, that's fab. I've noticed we've gone way over time and slightly off piste because we've actually ignored some of those questions that I sent to you. But it's been really nice and cool and organic, which is probably the best way we do things anyway, isn't it? Was there anything you wanted to ask personally, Andy?
No, it's great. Yeah, it's really been kind of I felt a lot of wise information in the last kind of, and like you say, it's a lot of it's just reinforcing, just being authentic, finding, you know, do what makes you happy. You know, what nourishes your soul, do it. You know, all those kind of, it's kind of like obvious things, but because of life's conditioning, we kind of it gets kind of, we're told to put it over that way and just get on with the routine that we're told. Yeah, no, I think it's been great.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it really is about the practice of accepting who you are above anything else. Because once you've accepted all of who you are and all your parts and all your story and all our baggage and all our projections, all of it, everything that we carry, the unsaid, the unseen, the loud, the obnoxious, all of it, it puts you in a position where you can actually be present with yourself and your practice. Because you're like, oh yeah, of course I did it like that because of that. And that's who I am. And
Yeah.
that's why it's good, because you're that way. You're that, and I mean, it's madness. We think we're huge overthinkers. No one else is thinking this much about each and one of us. No one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So really, the modus operandi should be fuck it and do it.
Well, like, I think it should be more just kind of, notice all the wonderful things about you, or notice all the things about you and understand that they're there for a positive reason. And it's not like, oh, find the positive in everything, man. No, it's that every part of you is actually essentially what it's trying to do is keep you alive. Yeah, it's trying to
This
keep
the
you.
other thing is this running on survival mode the whole time, because actually sometimes that doesn't allow you to fully express yourself. So getting into that position of fully owning what you're going to do and with conviction, get it out there, regardless of how you're feeling, but also honor your feelings because obviously they're there. So yeah, and talk to someone about it, because maybe that's another reason. And obviously a coach like yourself, your beautiful self, Olivia, you're there to guide people.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
where will people find you right now? What are
sorry.
your main social handles?
It's the Creative Rebellion. Sorry, so at the dot creative dot rebellion is my Instagram handle. My website is thecreativerebellion.com, and if you're interested in Bold School, that's the dot bold school bold dot school. We're just building a website now, so that's where you can find me. Yeah,
I wish you all the best with that
Oh
venture.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
cool. Well, thank
So
you so much for having me.
really, really appreciate your time today, and yeah, all your words and wisdom. It's been fantastic. I just feel like I've I don't know, had a sort of transplant in some way. Mental health transplant. It's been really great. Thank you. Really appreciate your time, Olivia. Was there
Well,
anything else you wanted to wrap up with, or?
no, just thank you very much. Thank you both for having me, and that was a really great conversation.
Yeah, it was.
It's fine.
Have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Speak to you
Okay, bye.
soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.